Hi there! Today is another fashion haul topic for the video, and those are usually my favorite ones since I do really like to buy clothes for my dolls. And I think I do have now more clothes than dolls, but actually I do not really know that because I have also a lot of new dolls since I don't have the time to keep all of them dressed, but it is what it is. Let's start with the video and you can see already that I have 4 Xian Xian princess sets. Yeah, I really had to do Xian Xian princess. I bought a lot of these items and lately I'm a little bit concerned about the quality, but we will see. But I also bought a bunch of shoes and you can see that, right? There are only 4 different models, but a bunch of them since I do like neutral shoes that go together with a lot of stylings, and only the white sandal model is new to me, all the others you have seen my videos before. And I also got this gachapon capsule. Actually, I do like to buy gachapon pieces, but there's nothing like this inside. I just wanted to include the packaging because I think it is clever and very interesting. So we will start with that. And as you can see, it is jewelry. Or better said, there are 2 pairs of earrings and 1 jewelry box. And also the display rack. I actually didn't realize that the earrings will come with that, but the listing also tells you that the rack is included. And at least these 2 pairs of earrings are not cheap. I paid a bit under 8 euros for the white one and around 10 euros for the bedazzled variant, but the bedazzled one is not for sale anymore, so I guess they are out of stock. But I assume that they come back at some point, and I don't know, I was blended by the logo and I wanted to see if the size is good for Barbie, since these earrings do also have those extra parts so that they can be used on a doll head with factory pierced ears. I think everything is very nicely packed. I do not really appreciate the baby toys lettering. I would highly disagree with that, but other than that, everything is fine. And at first, to try on these earrings, I grabbed this BMR and Billy because she never was in one of my videos, I think. And I thought, why not giving her those earrings since she does have pre-pierced ears. And I don't know if I ever removed the original earrings, but I was a little bit surprised when I saw her pierced ears. As you can see here, the person who did it back then in the factory, I guess, had a pretty bad day. I mean, she could wear them and they would not fall out, since her head is pretty, it's not hard, but it is dense. It is a dense vinyl head. But those earrings do not work with all pre-pierced ears, so here you do have a Teresa head that is a bit more squishy and she cannot wear those earrings. In general, if you do have a doll that does have very widened piercings, you could put it in very hot water and the holes would shrink down again. But this girl here does have Kanekalon as hair, and I would not recommend doing this on a doll that does have Kanekalon. At least it is a bit tricky to do that on a doll head that does have very sensitive hair, and I just wanted to point out that it will not work for each and every doll head that does have pre-pierced ears. But it does work for this girl here. She does have pre-pierced ears. Her head is also not super firm, so this is also not the newer vinyl type. I mean, Mattel also use squishy vinyl for today dolls, so it is simply a fact that not each and every Barbie doll head does have the same consistency. But she can wear them pretty well. And I think they are very cute. The little jewelry box was the reason, though, why I scrolled through the shop listings, since I do like to have knick-knack for my dolls. I don't need it, but I really like to have it, and I was not really in need to get another ring, but I wanted to have the box, so it is made out of metal. The spongy thing they use, you can remove it, and if you like to replace it, you could also do that, or cut a slit into that material so you could slide in a ring. But it works also without doing that. You can see it here with a ring that does have a tinier stone. It is so cute, so tiny and so cute in my opinion. The tiny metal box is also not cheap. I paid near to €6 for it. But it is, as I said, metal. It does have a good weight, and I like how it looks on display and even in a Barbie hand. Here is how it looks with a ring that does have a bigger stone, and you cannot really keep the lid closed with that ring. It will pop open again, and I don't want to scratch the ring, so to close up the box I would have to cut the sponge part, and I think it's not needed. I also like it with a smaller ring, but it looks also good in a Barbie hand. So now to the shoes. Usually I do not include the shoes that I buy in the hauls, but this time I would like to do that since it is not so easy to find the right shoes for all the feet that you can see in my videos, and these shoes here are a very good match for most of the fashion doll feet that you can see in my videos, and so I thought it makes sense to include them, especially because I bought a bunch of each model, so I don't have to switch them all the time and you can see them most of the time side by side. You were able to see that some of these models do have a left and a right shoe. I think the packaging was pretty clever and it made it easier for me to sort them. I would like to start with the black chunky model. Actually, I'm not the biggest fan of those shoes, or at least I was not the biggest fan when I first bought them years ago. But I have to say that this model here fits on so many feet, and it is not very complicated to get nice shoes and simple looking shoes for the standard made to move, but all the other girls, it is not so easy, and you can see here it fits almost perfect on all of these dolls. So you have the standard made to move and then a Mizi body, and I think those shoes are the perfect shoes for those feet. Really, I do think that. Next up is Lully. They also fit on Mengf, but they are a little bit stretched at the front of the shoe. The shoe does fit Xian Xian Princess, but it is a very tight fit. Also, the shoe is a bit stretched in the front. Sometimes that could cause damages on the shoe when it is worn for a long period of time, but on this shoe model I have never seen damages, so I guess it is okay. And it even fits on Kismela, but the heel is not quite right. It is doable, and I did it before because Kismela is the most difficult feet to find shoes for, but it is not a perfect fit. Next up is the white sandal, and this here is the only shoe that I have never bought before, and I bought it because it was really affordable. By the way, I pay around €1.50 for the black shoe that you have seen before, and this one here was around 80 cents. So I bought 5 pairs, so we have to share those shoes to get them tested on all feet. I think it looks good on standard made to move. I mean, of course, the shape of the foot itself does not have any heel moment, but it still looks good, I think. The heel of the shoe is pretty wide, even though the shoe is quite flimsy, so I don't know if I love it or not. We will see that later on. It looks good on Mizi, but the heel of the Mizi feet is a little bit higher than the heel of the shoe. From the side you can see that, but I think it's doable. This shoe does fit way nicer on the Lully body though. And of course, this is a shoe that does have a left and a right shoe. It also looks quite good on Mengf feet, but this shoe, as I said, is a bit flimsy. And now the front part is a little bit loose, but later on a doll stand you would not see that. But in theory, the shoe is a little bit too small already for the Mengf body. And that is, of course, also the case for the Xian Xian Princess feet, since they are even way bigger than the Meng feet. I mean, I think it is still doable, but it is not a great fit. I think for Kismela, the fit is a little bit better because the Kismela foot is a bit slimmer. It is longer than Xian Xian Princess, but slimmer, so I think it fits better. And now it's time to fiddle around a little bit to get the foot into those flimsy shoes a bit better, but it worked in the end. As I said, the material is not super sturdy, but still, I think because of the very wide heel, it is still a good shoe. The next shoe is an original Barbie shoe, and you have seen it so many times on this channel. I do really like this model because it is super sturdy. It does not have a lot of material beside of the chunky heel, and therefore it fits on a lot of different doll feet, and that's what I really like about it. This shoe cost a little bit more. It cost me around €1.20 when I bought it, and I do really like those shoes. I mean, a lot of Barbies that are currently on the shelf do also have this shoe model, but most of the time in more colorful colors, and you can never really go wrong with a black shoe, I think. It looks good on the stand-up made to move. For the Mizi feet, it looks good from the front, not so much from the side since Mizi heels are way higher. This shoe fits quite nicely on the lolly body. I think it is also a pretty good match for the Mengf or Mengf fan feet. Sadly, it is a very tight fit for the Xian Xian Princess. I would say it still works, but it is a very tight fit. On Kismela, it works a bit better since the foot is slimmer, but it is not a perfect fit for the toes. It is nearly the same fit for tall Barbie feet. It is a snug fit lengthwise, but I think it's doable. And I do appreciate the sturdiness of this shoe model. The last shoe model is also a shoe that you have seen on this channel before. I mean, even in my last video with the Xian Xian Princess doll. This shoe model is also a model that fits on a lot of different doll feet. And I think it got a little bit more popular because when I bought it, it was €1.20, and now, at the moment at least, it is €1.50. Yeah, €1.50 is a bit high for this shoe since it is also the flimsy material like for the sandals, but the heel of this shoe is quite stable. It never collapsed on one of my dolls, and that is what I really appreciate on a doll shoe. I hate when doll shoes have super flimsy heels, and I also don't like shoes that are really packed with plastic, bulky details. I simply don't like that. These shoes here are very simple and they go together with most of the feet quite well. Of course, the standard made to move is no problem. It is simply the tiniest foot. It does look pretty on the Mizi feet, and since the shoe is closed, you cannot see the heel of the actual foot. That I guess is higher than the heel of the shoe, but it looks good. And that is also the case for the lolly body. The shoe fits nicely. Same goes for the Mengf body, a simple but nice shoe in my opinion. You can get the shoes on the Xian Xian Princess feet, but the shoe is actually too small. The back of the foot is peeking out. I mean, you cannot see that from the front, but it is just not the right size for it, which is a bit sad. For Kismela, it is a better fit, again, because the foot is slimmer, not really tinier than Xian Xian Princess. And you can see here also the back of the foot that is peeking out a tiny bit, but it is so minor that you cannot really see it from the side, so I think it is still an okay fit. And it is the same for the tall girl. This shoe is on the snug side, but it is doable for tall and also for curvy. Now it's time for the clothes, and I think we will start again with the cheapest set and go to the most expensive one, even though this time the prices are pretty similar. The first set that you can see here cost me around €6, and it definitely has this very Chanel-y vibe, and that was the reason I included the earrings in this haul. But unfortunately, I'm not really impressed by this set here. Well, I looked at review pictures on Aliexpress. Some of the buyers had a dress that got a more evenly looking bottom part because the fabric is very structured and it looks kind of odd when the lines are not straight. The golden chain on the bottom is just glued on with hot glue. It is not the first time that I saw a piece by Xian Xian Princess that used hot glue, and most of the time they do a good job. This here though is not the best idea, I think, since it makes the skirt quite stiff. Also, I had no clue that it does have such a big cutout in the back. I don't think it looks flattering. It looks more like it is cheaply made than it is supposed to look that way, if that makes sense. The Velcro they use for this piece here is the hangry one, but I also have to admit that the overall stitching on this piece is well made, and the touch of the fabric is nice. It does have a good feel to it, so I don't know. And it is a set, so we get also accessories. I mean, these shoes are not my thing, and I also don't think that they go well together with the design of the dress. But we also get this belt here. It is kind of a weird pleather material. It feels like velour or the imitation of velour leather. And it does have these golden studs on it. A very nice detail. And it is closed by Velcro. But we also get a bag as accessory. And on the pictures, I thought it is a cute little piece, but in reality, I don't know. It is more like a towel that is folded together, and they even not glued it down correctly. The fabric is fraying out, and overall, this is definitely not a very nice piece. In general, sometimes you do have really awesome items when you buy stuff from this company, and sometimes the stuff is on the mid-range. This here is definitely on the mid-range. Sometimes you even get stuff that is not so good, but this here is at least on the mid-range, I would say. I mean, it does look like the pictures, and it looks fine on Barbie. It is in general, of course, a boxy shape, but the belt helps a lot with the uneven pattern, and overall, it's okay. I would wish that the chain, which is hot glued on, wouldn't make everything so stiff, and the cutout in the back is simply ugly. Because of its shape, it is also possible to fit this dress on a tall girl. It is basically exactly the same shape, just the legs, of course, are a little bit longer. You cannot even see the shape of the torso underneath the dress, so it doesn't really matter how the doll actually really looks. And I have to say, I'm annoyed by the Velcro of the belt. It is also a very thick and non-elegant one. It doesn't really close that well. And even later on with the styling, I had to reglue it because the Velcro fell off. Anyway, here you do have it on a Xian Xian Princess doll herself. And as you can see, you cannot really see the shape underneath the dress. And yeah, I don't know. The dress does not look too bad. It actually looks like the pictures, but I would have expected more quality when it comes to the finish of the dress because it is really not so great. But it is also a very inexpensive set and it is okay. The next dress is a very good example how different the quality of Xian Xian Princess item can be, because this set here only cost a few cents more than the set that you have seen before, and this dress here is beautiful. Design-wise, it is of course a matter of personal taste. I do really like the shape of the dress. It reminds me of the good old Barbie times. And I think that the promo pictures do not do this dress really justice. And I guess it is a little bit because of the shawl that is included. You can see it here. To me, it looks more like a rug than a shawl. I mean, the material is not so bad, and they even did seal the edges of the fabric, but I don't know. Actually, I think this piece devalue the beautiful look of the dress. But here is the dress. It is very sheer, and that is also visible in the promo pictures, so I knew that. But in this case, I think it's part of the charm, because The shape reminds me on early 80s Barbie clothing, but the material is totally different. This here is, by the way, a very, very high quality fabric. Actually, I don't know how to call this fabric because it's not tulle. It is also not chiffon. It is very soft, very smooth and silky, and I do love the color changing moments. It does have a zipper and the stitching is awesome. This here is a beautiful dress. And you can come for me, but I highly doubt that we can see a dress like this made by Mattel anytime soon. And sometimes it is pretty hard to believe that the set that I have shown you before is from the same manufacturer like this one here, because there are worlds between them. The dress can be worn by standard made to move Barbie. It is a little bit long, so you would have to use really high heels, but it is possible. But the thing is, in the back you cannot close the zipper completely. At that point I had no idea that you cannot close the zipper completely on each and every doll. So sometimes I really ask myself if the factory who make the outfits even ever get a doll to check the measurements. The opening of the dress is too narrow to be fitted on a tall girl, but you could of course wear the dress on each and every supermodel body. I mean, the top part would look a bit better on each and every body that does have a little bit more bust size, but it is of course doable. The thing is, the made to move Barbie is a little bit wider in her shoulders, and in general the torso is a bit wider. Mitzi is slimmer. She does not really have less boobie than Barbie, but the overall size is a bit different. But even here you cannot completely close the zipper. And that is also the case for the Xian Xian Princess doll, but I don't think that this is really so important. But it is necessary to be mentioned that often the sizing for the Xian Xian Princess outfits are even not perfect on the dolls of the line. And I totally forgot about the shawl that is included in the set. Don't know how that happened, but actually at that point I remembered that it is in fact included. So here it is together with the dress. I don't think it looks horrible, but I also don't think that it enhances the look because the top of this dress is so beautifully made and even the straps are so pretty and they are placed perfectly also together with the ribbon in the middle of the dress. So in my opinion, the shawl, you can use it for something else, but on this dress here, it would be a downgrade. And here it is also on the Mengf body because the Mengf body does have the biggest boobies. And of course also here you cannot completely close the zipper, but that's okay. And I do also like the fitting of the dress on this body. And I'm simply amazed by the color of the dress because it is not simple purple. There's something, you can see that there's like a black undertone and the colors are changing. So you cannot touch this dress, but trust me, it feels so nice. I really do like this dress. The next dress is also part of the purple or more lilac line of the Xian Xian Princess fashion, and it was not available in the shop that I usually buy from, so I got this one from another shop through the choice system, so I had no additional shipping costs since I bought something else. But this dress here cost me €7, and it arrived in this flimsy plastic bag. I mean, it is not such a big deal, it is just very different from the other sets that you can see today. This set only comes with a pair of shoes, which is also interesting. The set before only came with a shawl and no shoes. I don't know, it is always a bit weird to see what a set actually contains. The shoes that are included are okay. I think they do not really go together with the style of the dress, but they are at least not super ugly, so that is a plus. The dress itself does have a completely different fabric than the one you have seen before, but it is also a very beautiful one. It is soft and very silky. It definitely wrinkles easier than the fabric that you have seen before, but it is not so intense. So this is not the standard material that you would expect of a doll cloth. especially not when it is not very expensive. And the overlock hemming on the bottom of the dress is also awesome. I do really like the dress. Also, the wrapping around the waist is nice. This dress does have Velcro, but at least it is the good stuff. Absolutely not the bad stuff from the first set, so this here is at least a good piece of Velcro. And also the whole fabric that you can see from the inside is perfectly stitched and even heat sealed or sealed with any kind of method, don't know, but nothing will fray out, and this is a very nicely made dress, which comes with these flower details. Those are hot glued on, and you can see that I did not really pull on it, but it simply got off directly. They only used a very minor drop of glue. Is it really so bad that it got loose? No, actually I was able to glue it on with fabric glue and everything is okay, but yeah, maybe they use a little bit too much hot glue on their stuff in general. The dress looks good on standard made to move Barbie, and as you can see here, the flower is now securely reattached to the strap because I thought this dress is so beautiful and it would simply look odd when only one flower is attached because of the type of fabric and the shaping of the top. Each doll will look like she does have more boobies than she actually has. It is not empty on the top, even though Barbie does not have a lot of boobies. It simply looks good. I do like this dress on Barbie, but for a standard made to move Barbie, the dress is a little bit long. But I do think it is the perfect evening gown for a tall Barbie. It adds volume to her chest, and therefore her waist looks thinner. She is tall enough to wear this dress. The top is closed by the ribbon straps, so it is adjustable. You just have to take your time and make sure that everything sits neatly. But I think this is a dress that is definitely suitable for Barbie. Sadly, it is not suitable for petite or curvy, but the tall girls are on the winning side this time. This dress looks also good on Mizi bodies since it does give you the impression of a bigger chest and it does not look loose at all, even though there's not a lot of plastic around the chest that could fill in the fabric top, but still it looks good. And here it is on a Mengf body, which does have a bigger chest part, and I think this time it does not even look better because there is already a lot of plastic busts and the dress adds on to this. But in this case, I think it is not even that flattering. I think this dress here looks better on a chest that is not so voluminous, but still it does look good also on the Mengf body. I simply think that it looks exceptionally good on the girls who are not so lucky with their plastic junk. Now there's one set left, and I can already tell by looking through the package that I will not be very happy. This set came from the same line as the blazer combi you have seen before, and I was really not happy about the quality of the blazer, and therefore I was already concerned about this set since I bought them at the same time. The thing is, the blazer set didn't have a top or a shirt, and after reviewing the set with the pink vinyl jacket, I'm not surprised that this shirt here also is only half finished. The neckline is rough, the bottom line is rough, there's no sewing involved, and even no method to stop the fabric from fraying, so this is simply a badly made piece. I paid for the whole set a tiny bit over €9, and usually included is the shirt, a pair of pants, and a bag, plus kind of a headscarf. But let's continue with the pants first. The fabric is awesome. The idea of the pants is awesome. The fabric feel is great. It is kind of a woolen material, so something you would expect when you do have some real person pants in your hands, just thinner but definitely not too thin. The stitching is even, it is everything well made. But when I look at the opening of those pants, that is a very, very small opening. I mean, at least it does have a button, no Velcro here, but the opening is very small. The back is a nice gimmick. I think on the promo pictures the handle is grey and not black, but that's not big of an issue. You also get this golden chain, and everything all together is fine. The bag can be opened. I mean, you can see the hot glue residues inside, but it is by no means a bad handbag. I think I would give the doll a different one for the style they had in mind for this set, but actually I don't think it is horrible. So it is kind of cohesive. I'm fine with it. And when it comes to the piece of cloth, I think it is a good and cute idea, but the execution is lower than mid. The thing is, the fabric is nice, even the print is very pretty. The edges are not, they are seared, but they are not hemmed, and the fabric is very stretchy, but it is also pretty thick. And in case you have tried to do looks with the mini brands fashion scarves, you know that even these are a little bit problematic to style with, since it is really hard to create a kind of scarf that is on the scale for a fashion doll, and it does have the right thickness, but still is also durable enough to create styles with. Well, let us start with the pants. There's absolutely no way to get these pants over Barbie's hips, and you can see it on the back. The stitching is on its limit. There's no way to get it any further, so that's it. And also for the Mengf body, same picture. Her hips are smaller, but her booty is bigger, and therefore no chance for those pants. Absolutely not. And I do really like the style of those pants. As I said, the fabric is good, the finishing is good. And here you do have it on a Xian Princess doll. So the thing is, her upper leg joints or her hip joints are so loose that she already is crossing her legs over each other while I'm trying to get the pants over her hips. And that is, in this case, a positive thing because now I can push the pants over her booty. So in general, the whole structure of the pretty loose hip joints is definitely not positive, but for those ill-fitting pants, it works well enough to get it over the hips. Does it look great? No, not so much, because actually now the pants are pretty loose on the waist, but the cut of the pants is not made for let them slip a bit down to get a better fitting, so it is quite loose. But at least it was possible to get the pants over her booty. And here it is with the beautiful shirt that is included. It is not as shabby as the one with the pink jacket. I guess the person who cut the fabric here simply had a steadier hand while cutting, but overall it is simply not nice. Here you also have the pants on a Mizi body, and you can see that the fabric is bulging out a little bit since I had to handle the pants quite a few times to try it on different dolls. I mean, I think you can get it straight again with some ironing or at least steaming, but still it is visible and that is also not so good. But actually, if the cut or the fit would have been better, at least for the doll that it is officially made for, I guess you would not have that problem. On Mitzi, the pants are very wide. I had even a hard time to get it over her hips, but it was easier as for all the others. But you can see how loose the pants fit, and I think those pants should look loose, but in the end, they should not look loose all over the pants. So at least the waist should have a nicer, tighter fit. And if they would have had actually a doll to test fit on the pants, I'm pretty sure that they would have made it differently. Since the thing is, the cutout in the back, so the opening is simply too small. That is often the case for Xian Xian Princess items, and the closure in comparison to the opening is simply too wide. Anyway, it is what it is. I'm really not happy about this set, but we have one piece of fabric to review left. You can already see on the promo pictures that the headscarf do not look so nicely, and it is also only shown from the front. I do not have the exact same doll, but I do have Barbie Looks doll number 21. She does have the same hairstyle, and the scarf or cloth looks not so good. but also not super bad. I think it is okay, but you can see that the fabric is a little bit too thick and not flexible enough to create a real nice look, at least not effortless. I mean, when you would roll it together very tightly, you might be able to make a decent wrap around the head, but that definitely needs some time and effort. The thing is, the piece of fabric is big enough to be used as a top, and I think that is actually the better option in my opinion. I mean, I think it looks better than the actual shirt that is included. You can tie it in the back, and I was even able to make a knot, but you cannot touch it, then it comes undone again. But when you invest a little bit more time, I think it is absolutely possible. So I guess this would be the nicer option for this piece of fabric. Usually, this would also be a working method to use a scarf as a top, but for that, the fabric is too thick. It stands off quite a bit, and over time and handling, the fabric is fraying out a little bit. So, this is luckily the end for the video of today, because actually this time I was not so happy with all of my purchases, and especially not with the last set. And actually I'm also a little bit angry. I don't know. I'm definitely upset since I now have two fashion packs from this line and both were very disappointing. I do have left a red dress, and I hope it will be different since it is not casual chic, and usually they do better with dresses. But from the seller pictures or promo pictures, I was hoping to get a real nice, with a high quality pair of pants, and that was not the case. I hope you like the styling. I hope you like the proposal. I had to do something that cheers me up, and I think these two girls look so cute. I mean, Barbie couldn't wear the ring anyways, but it is the idea that matters, I think. At least I do really love the two gowns, even though I had to glue back the flower on the strap, but that's okay. I'm simply impressed by the first gown that you have seen. The Kira hybrid is wearing a pair of tights underneath the dress, and I think that is already enough to be fashionable. The dress is still very sheer, but I think it complements this lingerie look, and I'm totally here for that. I think she looks stunning. At least I'm happy with 50% of the looks. Better than nothing, I guess. So I'm still not over the Xian Xian princess fashion that you can get, because at least you can get fashion. They provide a nice variety of clothing, and sometimes you hit the jackpot, and sometimes you simply draw a blank. But actually, with watching my videos, you at least know which one could be a real gem in your collection. I hope you had some fun with this video, and I thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again in one of my next videos, and I hope you will have a great new week. Bye!